Hello, everyone. Welcome to our January 11th, 11 a.m. Living Our Values session today. We are so glad you're here. I'm Amy Johnson, and I'm here with Sheila Arthur.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everyone. We do this every month on the 11th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So come to California or the West Coast if you and we are thrilled to be here. We created this over 2 years ago as an opportunity to come together each month and talk about what it means to live our values and how to stay in alignment with them as we go about our busy and distracted and habitual lives. So this is a place we wanted to create that was a shared experience for all of us where we could talk about what the challenges are, what was working, what we can celebrate, and how to do it, basically. And do it in a space that's not judgmental, where there's not a should or how it's supposed to be, but have a real conversation. So that's what we do every month at this time. And this month, our theme is talking about how our values can help us commit. What are the commitments that are important to us, determine what these are, and also how to keep those commitments to ourselves and to others, and what role do our values play in that journey. So before we talk about that, is there anything you want to say, Sheila, quickly to say hi?
I just want to say hi. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I think one of the other key things about what we do here each month is really remembering. It's a reminder, it's an opportunity to pause and to remember what the values are. For whatever reason in our busy lives, it gets away from us. This is like a reset. It's a place to like say, oh yes, I want to get back on track, or I'm really glad that I've been able to do these things because this feels very aligned. But oh God, I've been missing out on this part. I need to get kind of like re-energize this area of my life. And this is such a great place to do that, because it's like it's been, God, over the last 2 years, it's like every single time I learn something new about myself, I walk away with a different level of commitment and understanding, and like feel like I'm realigned again. And that's like super valuable. So just wanted to share that part.
It's so true, really. It is a remembering. I was writing about amnesia because I get amnesia a lot, right? I forget the things that are important to me and forget what my values are. So it's kind of like a fog. Brain fog's another way to say that, where I forget. So this point, so you said it so eloquently, of remembering what's important to us. Remembering who we are, what we care about, what matters to us, and what our values are. So hi, Terry. Welcome. Nice to see you. Welcome. Are you back?
You're on mute, Terry. You're muted. Almost.
Okay,
there we go.
I'm not used to doing this on my phone, and my computer died while I was gone because it wasn't hooked up. So, yeah, it's a new year. Time to align and maybe even put signs around the house as reminders.
We do talk about that, right? We do talk about having those visual reminders of our values, so that we have, and we have this monthly remembering, but it is about remembering each day and starting anew. And we're glad you're here too, Charisse. I know we said that earlier too, but I'm glad you're there with that beautiful background of yours and your beautiful face. So
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So we're gonna get right into talking about in the spirit of remembering. I like to start our conversations with what are core values, because the words are used a lot in our world, but we don't really ever say what they are. So thinking about what core values are, and the way we define it in our community and how we talk about it in our workshops, is that core values are single words or short phrases that really connect you to your authentic, most genuine, your highest self, that kind of inner knowing about who you are. And then what they do is, with that knowing, they are a bridge. They're a bridge for you to take that who you are and put yourself out into the world. They're also a bridge that when you're out in the world, they remind you of who you are. Because the outside world, that part, that's everything from social media to walking down the street to interacting in our work and our jobs to our families. Anything outside of our hula hoop is everybody else. And that outside world can be really loud. And it's hard to sometimes, I know for myself, hear my own voice, know who I am in all of that. So the core values are an excellent way to remember ourselves when we're out in the world, and then also to take ourselves out into the world in this way that is honoring who we are. So it's a bridge. So it goes both ways. It flows out and it flows back in that regard. That's kind of the what they do. What we look at it also as core values then become, when we have a set of them, which is about 5 to 7 of them is the amount that is the sweet spot that we found, is that you have an inner compass. So your set of core values creates an inner compass for you, which is inner guidance. It's that inner knowing. It's a way to help point you in the direction of where you want to go. And then they inform how we need guidance out in the world. So they do both of those things in that same way, the inner and the outer. So every value we have has a reflection both inwards and outwards, which is pretty cool when you think about it. So it's a new year. I don't know about all you guys, but I see lots of stuff about what to do in the new year. Everybody has an idea of what to do, of how to make this the best year ever. And some of it I take, and some of it I take what I like and I leave what I don't. But it can be loud, So speaking about all of that, it can be a loud time of not feeling like I'm measuring up and really wanting to do better and set goals and things like that. The core values have really helped me reframe all that. So I don't buy into it as much as I used to, and really gives me a foundation where it's just a recalibration. It's a review and it's a realignment, as opposed to like, okay, what's the new goal? What's the new direction? What's the new thing I have to do? New year, and I've seen a little bit more this year, new year, same you. I've seen that out there a little bit. And I think the core values are in a spirit of that, because it's not so much having to change ourselves, but how to bring more of who we are, who we're becoming, to ourselves, to our lives, to who we want to be. So that's the spirit about what we are going to talk about today. Is anyone else feeling the new year vibes? It could be pressure, it could be excitement. I mean, I'm sure there's a whole spectrum of way everybody's feeling about the new year options. Anybody have anything they want to share?
Well, I do.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that I recently, over from the 26th to the 7th, I took a trip to Hawaii to visit some friends. And that was new for me. I did it by myself because my husband had gone to Vermont, and I did not want to go over to Vermont. And I'm not welcome in Vermont, where he was going. So his kids are like that. So I went to Hawaii to visit my friends. They recently moved there, and I had a really good time with them. And a couple of times I lost myself, because there I was in their family. I'd never stayed with them before. We'd always lived across from each other in a 6-unit building a friend of mine owned, and had communal dinners together of the community that lived in that 6-unit building, and shared food and things, but I'd never been in their home. And that was really different. Even though we love each other, I kept losing myself and feeling like I had assumed too much. But it came to pass that, everybody had difficulty being together because the whole family had been apart for a while. And here they were all together for the holidays, and they were yelling at each other. And I was like, I would retreat when everybody started raising their tempers, and then I never spoke about it to anybody. But it turns out that because I decided to stay out of their business, which is my new thing, don't comment unless you're asked. And because I always think, oh, I know how to solve that. And no, it doesn't work that way. And when I got home, the man of the couple called me to say, well, this is the problem now, and this is the blah, blah, blah. Can you tell me what you saw? And I actually had a couple of things that helped that I saw. So I guess it was good that I was there. And he wrote me back later in a text that, in fact, they resolved a whole lot of problems, and that I had asked him not to say that he spoke to me because I didn't want his wife to think that I was being one-sided and that I was against her in some way or anything. And so I think he just felt like he had someone who had a recent take on what's going on there. And so I have a feeling I was right to keep my mouth shut while I was there, and to practice this practice of do not speak about what you're seeing going on emotionally and like family dynamics unless you're asked. So that's new for me. Usually I'm like, oh, but wait, oh, I see something. And so that was a really big lesson for me.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. It sounds like a really powerful experience.
It was really great. I love these two people. Their daughters are now 13 and 17. I've known their daughters since they were born. I've known Adelita since she was 14.
Oh, wow.
And I've watched her get through UCLA Law School. I've watched her flourish in the world of law, and then take herself out. And she has her own, she works for an agency, and now she can live anywhere and do her law work and get paid. And that's pretty nice. Yeah.
It's amazing. And for as much as I also saw was like, you did say it was, tell me if this is right. Like I heard you say that you felt like you would lose yourself at times, but in a sense, what I heard is that you did find yourself because of that commitment you made to yourself. You honored that
Yeah.
in yourself of not to get involved without someone asking, which to me is a commitment to
Yeah.
yourself, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a commitment to how you want to be in the world, which is what our values speak to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know is there a value that came to mind for you in that, with that commitment to yourself?
I think valuing my insight, but not having to share it.
Right. Yeah.
And that if somebody asks, I can say what it is. And, I tried very hard to make it very compact, what I saw, and to make it positive, so that they could work from something positive.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're on it. You're doing it. So it's kind of like end of year, new year. You were doing it both times.
Yeah.
Right. It was the end of the year commitment that came through to the new year.
Yeah.
In that same way. Is it something you're going to commit to, do you think, for yourself for the rest of the year? Is it something
I think so. I think it's a really good discipline, because I feel that when I look at my history, I just blurt out things, and it's not appreciated at the wrong time. So and sometimes people don't ever ask, and
right.
So it's unimportant if they don't ask. So, but I think having insights and letting yourself have them and not necessarily believe that somebody else values them is, I think, important. I mean, it lets me not have self-importance because I see something and think, this is valuable to them. Well, maybe not.
Right.
Maybe it feels intrusive. And yeah. So yeah, I think it's a discipline.
Right. And I think anytime we want to make a commitment of a behavior change that we've done, it's like connecting it back to the values is so key. It's actually, been studied in that regard, that when we make a commitment to ourselves or to another, I mean, that's what the theme is today, if we connect that commitment to one of our core values, then it is easier, it's more motivating for us to keep that commitment. In
Yeah.
an article in Time magazine, when it was talking about the 15 ways to get motivated to keep a commitment or to reach a goal or do anything we want to do, which is different than what we're doing now, the number one thing on their list was get in touch with your core values.
Mm.
So I think that is a good reminder, because we're just talking about it. We can forget what is most important to us and get caught up in the moment where it gets really noisy. And then oh yeah, that's right. And the core values are, because they're a single word or short phrase, they're an instant opportunity for us to remember what's important to us and remember our commitment to ourselves. Because it's a commitment to ourselves, but it affects our relationships. It's a commitment to ourselves, but it affects how we are out in the world.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Sheila, did you want to add anything, or?
Oh my goodness. I first of all, Terry, I really subscribe to that as well. My theme, my mantra is the worst advice is unsolicited advice. So it's like, and I heard that from somewhere, and I it's like, yes, it is so true, because it's one thing to honor within yourself your ability to have an insight about something, but then also to recognize that it doesn't necessarily need to be shared. It's like everything isn't meant to be shared, right? So
Right.
sometimes it's an insight just for the sake of having the insight. It's like, that's enough.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just also honoring where people are. And I think that's like the big thing, the big takeaway. That's like my practice too, is to really try to honor where people are. And if they ask for it, then they're ready for it. If they don't ask for it, then I'm going to assume that they are not.
Yeah.
I might invite it, but it's like, yeah, it's just like, because it's like, that's been like the journey, is just learning that, there's so many ways to go through life, and my way is one way, but it's not the way.
Right.
Everyone has their own journey, their own way of getting to deeper truths or resolving things or not. And there's always the or not part. And I'm perfectly comfortable at this stage in my life with the or not, because sometimes people never do make the shift or have the realization, and that's okay too. It's not for them, and that's like, it's a real gift to be able to just kind of have that level of acceptance, and then to recognize, oh, I can honor myself by having the insight, but it also means I don't have to share it, and that's okay too. And I'm good with that.
Yes. In 12 steps, there's a saying, you have to allow people the dignity of their own choices.
Yes, that's a really nice way of putting it too. That's a very nice way of putting it. Absolutely.
I love that saying.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It has freed me from telling my younger sister how to live. And, she's just been diagnosed as pre-diabetic, and she has cupcakes and cookies and muffins all over her house, so she can have one anytime she gets this urge. And I said, well, did the doctor tell you not to eat any particular things? She said, he told me not to eat white bread.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. yeah, life is complicated. And
Very complicated.
It is indeed. It is
yeah,
indeed.
and finding our way to ourselves through that is so key. And I often I'll ask, with teenagers actually I was 20-year-old, so with older young women as daughters, right?
She's
They
20. Wow.
20 and 17, a lot of
Wow.
times they don't want my advice, they want me to listen. And I
Yeah.
want 6 because of my own anxiety around what they're going through.
Yeah.
So it's the work for me is to tune into my value of connection and remember that that's what is leading me in my exchange with them, is that and in that moment they want to be heard. And sometimes it doesn't matter. I've, done all sorts of things. Are like, yeah, even if I squeak so wrong, it's the wrong way. Cause sometimes they just want to get upset at me, like, what does that
Yeah.
mean? And I'm like, I don't know. We're like, yeah, that's terrible. What's terrible, So watching is funny in that regard. But most importantly, it's, oh, do you want feedback, or do you want me to listen, or do you want reflection? So I will ask that now to see where they are. Most of the time though, I feel like when I ask that, there's like, they know there's something I want to say, and so that can be a little manipulative too, but not intentionally so. It still gives them the choice to answer. And we have I believe, a relationship enough where they can say, no, I don't really want to hear what you have to say. Right. So there has to be a safety within that relationship.
Yeah.
But, in all those areas of learning to communicate with others, which one of your values relates to that? For me, that would be, communication and integrity often. And I think this is an important piece of it, because when we talk about commitments, right? Like Time Magazine will say, yes, tune into your core values. That'll really help you motivate. But what I see is there's a hole in how we as a culture talk about core values, which is what we're trying to kind of transform here, right? So the first step is identifying what core values are, which we've done in the workshop. Both of you have taken the workshop. What are our core values? Discover them, go from the inside out to determine what they are, rather than like pick it from out there. It's like an inside out process based on inquiry. But the second phase is so important, and that is where we define them, give them a definition. We identify where they came from. And then we also do this exercise, and I don't know if you both have done it, called the Inner Compass worksheet or exercise, where you see which value applies to different areas in your life. So which value do you use in relationships? Which value do you use for addressing your own mental health? Which value is the one for financial issues and money stuff? Which value addresses your involvement in the community? And so that's all, you get to assign which one of your set of values applies to each of those. And it's a great way to draw attention to those that you can use in those moments, so that if you have a commitment to yourself, you can look at which one addresses my relationships, which value is the ones for my mental health. And then sometimes we realize, oh, I don't have anything in this area. Like, oh, wow, I did not address money. That happens a lot. People are like, I don't have anything in here that addresses really my relationship with money. So how can I show the idea of wanting to thrive with it and be sustainable with my money? So, sustainability can go in there, but also flourish can go in there. Oh, I need that there. So it's really looking at the set of values to help us with those commitments in different areas in our life. And it's a way to use them more than just like lip service, because that's what Sheila said, right? It's a remembering. We forget these things, and these are a really quick way to remember what's most important to us in that time. So if you want that worksheet, I can easily text it to you, or I'll put it in the chat if you want, and you can.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyone, Sharice, did you have anything you wanted to check in about?
I'm not real big on New Year's resolutions or anything like that. Like once before, like I said, maybe I made a resolution to start being texting with my left hand. You see people text both left and right thumbs. So that's been a goal of mine for the past year or two. I'm getting better. So that I mean, I just take small things. I'm over the resolutions period. One thing that did happen, I just celebrated, just turned 50, and
Ooh,
All right.
it was a big deal, but I kind of wanted to throw a party, but I kind of let time creep up on me, and then it was kind of like, so I'm trying not to regret that I'm not throwing a big disco party. Do, 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 do.
why not?
At a club or anything, but my best friends in Santa Clarita is holding like a dinner party for me this coming Saturday. So it's something, not quite what I wanted, but it's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I don't like to be under pressure. I mean, under pressure myself into making resolutions. I just kind of go with the flow. I did set a goal to drop another 50 pounds by June, because I started a healthy eating program that's helping me to make wiser choices, and working. So far, I've dropped 15 pounds, and so maybe I have like another 35 to go. So I'm on my way.
That's great.
That is great.
Yeah. Do you have, I really appreciate hearing all of that too. Like the commitment to yourself in terms of health and looking at it from that lens, the idea of celebrating your birthday. And it is always a challenge for me. I really relate to that, how to celebrate. But happy birthday. That's exciting.
I try to make a month-long thing of it. So like every weekend I try to plan something, like this is my birthday month. So
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
I'm open to all invitations for dinner. I put it out there, let my friends know. But I just always want to do something every weekend in January.
That'll be fun. When is your birthday?
Oh, it was yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
That is exciting. Wow. And
It feels so good to be a certain age and not look your age, and not feel your age, whatever 50 feels like. But it's I feel fabulous. I feel great.
absolutely. Yeah. It's incredible. Well, you deserve a happy birthday month. I do the same thing because my birthday's in June, when it's usually like, it used to be finals all the time in school. So it was always like after, it was like, just keep it going, birthday. So I also really appreciated what you said regarding taking little steps, the committing to wanting to text with your left hand and taking small little steps. Because I do find that the consistency of small, consistent action really makes the difference in staying with something like that. And the consistent little steps really helps. I'm big on doing something for 10 minutes. If that's walking for 10 minutes, that could be writing for 10 minutes, drawing for 10 minutes, meditating for 2 minutes or 10 minutes, something like that, breathing for 10 minutes, something that I can commit to 10 minutes. When I say I have no time, I can find 10 minutes, and that usually helps me do something I don't always want to do.
Mm.
So I appreciate that. And I was curious, does one of your values relate to health? One of your set of values? Do you have one that relates to your health and well-being in that regard?
But that dedication is sprinkled a little bit here and a little bit there, because I feel that anything I put my mind to, I always follow through. So I am always a dedicated person. And I think that once I got into my head saying, okay, you like the past 2 years, I hired a trainer. So I lost 48 pounds with working with my personal trainer for 2 years. So I got somebody to help me accountable to exercise. So I got accomplished that goal, but then I have to get the eating habits underway. So this is the new thing that I'm tackling, the eating habits, trying to make healthy decisions, healthy choices, portion control. So it's once I get my mind wrapped around something and I'm like, I'm focused. So I think dedication is probably one of the core values that sticks with the healthy lifestyle.
I see that, right? That it's close to you. You really know that about yourself. It's a reminder of yourself about it. It's an identification that you are dedicated as a person, and it's that reminder to you that it's important to you too. So it's like that. It's a really positive feedback loop in that regard. Do you see what I mean? Using that word. You're like, you're dedicated, and then you say dedication or whatever word you choose, and it reminds you that you know that about yourself. Because I know things about myself and I still forget them.
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but I get busy, I get distracted, I get scrolling on social media, and then I'm like, oh wait, that's not where I want to be. I want to be over here. My phone has crept back into my room at night. Like I need to get it out of my room at night. So I don't look at it first thing in the morning, but it's still there. It's a little too close. And I sleep better when it's out of my room. So I forget these things that I know to be true, but I can kind of retune into, oh yeah, what matters to me? What's important to me in terms of my physical health, my mental health, my emotional health. And oftentimes that'll be a core value. That'll be like, oh, right. Yeah, that. And so I can find myself in there. I don't have to look up anything before bed that I can't. If I think I'm going to forget, I'll write it down. So, yeah. So those are, the commitments that we've been talking about. We talk about commitments with core values all year long, not just in the beginning of the year, but it's a good time to reconnect to our values and recommit to living in alignment with our values, because when we do, it just feels better. It gets better and better and better the more we commit to living in alignment with our values. And then we get to see it out there. And
less chaotic it is. I think you're more centered, you're more focused.
Mhm.
You're not all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I don't know about you all, but I find the world that tries to pull me all over the place intentionally, because I think I think it's been proven. I've certainly heard this, right? That they're trying to get our attention. And so, but I think you're right, Charisse. It is about being centered. It is about being focused, right? You said another word. What was the other word you said? Centered and focused. And
I think that was it. Those are the
That was
two.
it, centered, focused, and just being less chaotic.
less chaotic. Yeah. Yeah, I related to that. So it can be chaotic in here in my head if I'm if I'm doing a lot out there, like on social media a lot or on things a lot out, then if noises get loud, it can get very loud in my head. And I meditate every day, but that's how I know, because it's a louder meditation to be able to pay attention to that. Yeah. Sheila, what are you thinking about?
Oh my God. Yeah. I just like,
I see it all.
I just listen to those words of the centered and focused and the chaos and attention being pulled in so many different directions. I mean, to me, that's like that is the work. It's always the work of bringing myself back to a place of feeling that just that grounded, centered, aligned kind of energy, and not allowing those things to like pull me. And it's like, yeah, and it can happen. It happens easily. It's like just returning. And that's what meditation's all about anyway. It's returning your attention to the present moment, right? So returning your attention to your breath, coming back to that place. And it's like just recognizing that your consciousness is going to go and latch on to different things. And suddenly you're in a whole different place and you find yourself there for hours. And it's like, oh my God, that was like trying to do this. And just coming back, and it's just refocusing on coming back to center, because that's the place where all the action is actually, it's not out there where all of the shiny pennies are, or whatever you want to call it. It's a place where you get to make choices, consciously make choices. So it's such a desirable place to be. It's like that's the challenge. It's the ongoing challenge, is just to return back to that place, because when I'm there, I make much better decisions. I do things that are much better suited to me and that are aligned with where I want to be and that support me and nourish, and all of those things happen when I have the opportunity to say yes to like this calm space. I can see more clearly. I just see more clearly. I can see more clearly. I can act more clearly and make better decisions. And so that's the goal.
Right. Yeah, it really is. And the core values can be that tool to help recenter. And then they're also the tool once centered. Like sometimes I have to take the pause first, and then they'll help me inform what to do next. Not having to overthink it, right? Like if I know that connection is what's really important to me in front of mind right now, when I pause, I'm like, right. It doesn't mean I don't have to sort through a bunch of stuff to figure out what is most important to me, because I have these 5 or 7 that I know really well. That gets to your point earlier, right? Remembering them, like, oh yeah, so that they're right there. Oh, integrity. I know how I need to make that phone call, not send a text. Because I know it's integrity that's leading my way, and connection in this situation. So the phone call is more intimate. Gosh, it's going to be harder, but I don't want to do it. All right, but connection and integrity matter to me. They'll probably take the text. No, it doesn't matter for you, Amy. You pick up the phone, you call, and you have the conversation, even if it's difficult. But it helped me to do that, putting my values in my front of mind, saying connection, integrity. And so,
I love the part when you're saying about pausing, because that's so central too, because that gives you access. You access to the values. It's like there they are. They come up, they bubble up, and they're a part of you. And the more that you interact with them and understand them, the more that they're at your disposal during those times to make those choices. And it's always about having options and being able to make the best choice for yourself. That's the thing.
Right.
The best choice in the situation. And that comes from the values.
Right. It really does. Yeah. And it is that pause is central to it, right? Because I have to be able to pause in whatever I'm in to recalibrate. You can't recalibrate you can't, the tires while they're still going. So you have to park the car to about cars. I don't know why I'm using a car metaphor, but I drive one, right? So if I need to recalibrate them, realign them with your calibrate tires. You
Align, real,
right?
yeah,
Align them.
align the
You're not
tires.
going to do that while you're driving.
Right,
You're going to
exactly.
stop the car, then realign them. And the pausing is similar in that regard.
Yes, absolutely. That's so true.
Yeah. So the core values certainly work in tandem with these other ways of being. But the thing that I appreciate a lot is they show me how to be out in the world, which is kind of what we've talked about today. How do you celebrate your birthday? How do you interact with friends when you're in Hawaii? How do I have a difficult conversation? Right? How do I show up when things are chaotic? And it's the how we do these things, how we show up, how we are in the world is what is reflected in our values in that way.
Yes. Very well said, Amy.
Yeah. And when I was thinking about commitment this month, too, there were 3 things that core values did that I wanted to talk about and hear from you guys about too, which was that, and usually you just spoke about this, right? Our core values help us give us a clear path, right, of how we want to be. So when we are looking for that, you know, so like deciding what to do for your birthday even, or how you're going to travel, look to your values as a clue for the path to go for that. Okay, what do they say about celebration? And if they don't say something about celebration, is there one missing? Is there one that can be added to or explored, right? So my value of flourish came in a little bit later because I didn't really have one about shining and blooming and celebrating. And I realized, wow, I was really more on the surviving end of things, not necessarily on the thriving end of things. So I added a 7th value that was missing because I wanted to celebrate more in my life. Play more. I have creativity, and that one certainly addresses play, but not in the way of same way that celebrating does. And creativity is more about me in an internal one. There's an external expression of that, but it's more internal. But flourish is more about being both out and in a different way. So it's subtle for me. It doesn't mean it's going to be the same for anybody else. But so which one of your values helps you celebrate? And when we connect it, then it's much easier to commit to it. So like a commitment, we're so used to seeing our commitments to be difficult, right? But the second thing our values can help us do with meeting our commitments is give us inspired direction. So it could be, I want to celebrate more in my life. I want to have fun more in my life. I want to play more in my life. Or I want to pause more. You know, it doesn't have to be huge. Like you said, Cherise, little by little, we can make those shifts. And then the third thing that our values can help us do is have compassionate self-accountability. And I think that's the remembering. The accountability really is just remembering and being honest with ourselves when we're off track. It's stopping the car and going, all right, I got to check the tires. And am I, taking care of them as I need to? Am I going in the right direction? Do I need to move them around? What's going on here? And so that self-accountability, or else we can get pretty off track quickly, but it can be done compassionately. I think I found in my life, and I was raised to have so much shame and shoulds in my life. And I find the values a path that's not what this is. This is not about more shoulds and shame. It's just about being honest with ourselves so that we're living the life that feels centered and focused, that feels better and better, that feels like we could shine and flourish in all those ways.
It just made me think of I just thought of the phrase naming without shaming. It's just calling it out. And this is what it is without having that attachment and all of the energy of judgment around it, because that really helps. It's like getting clear. Okay, this is what's happening now. This is what I need to do differently. I love that phrase, compassionate self. Is it compassionate self accountability? Yes. And yeah, it's just like, okay, Just being as gentle as you would with a child who is learning something new, or just like, the habits, like we talked about the habits and the little by little creating different habits. And instead of just doing all of that beat up and everything else, when you fall short, it's just like, okay, just getting back on the horse and just doing it again. I gotta repeat this. Didn't
Yep.
quite get it, or did pretty well here, but I need to do some improvement. And it really is, the compassionate part is like so central to continuing to move forward without getting caught up in the judgment and the shame and the shoulds and everything else, because that's like a real halt to progress, and success. It's like, okay, we don't always do things perfectly, but we can be aware enough to just, try again, and just know that the next time we get a little bit closer, just repeating that action, stacking it, and it becomes more of a habit over time.
Right.
So yeah, it's so much more civilized.
Civilized, right? And I think it keeps us going. It keeps us going, right? Like I committed to doing a 30-day yoga challenge.
Ooh, that's so
And
cool.
it's like 20, sometimes it's a half hour a day, it just depends on the day what she posts. But by day 3, because of various different reasons, I didn't do it. But that didn't stop me. I kept going, and then I doubled up over the weekend when I had more time, and I'm still doing it. Whereas that's where that compassion helps me continue. Compassion really helps me continue, right? If it had been like, oh, I already screwed up after day 3, why bother?
Yeah, exactly.
That I've done that before, and just was so ashamed that I didn't do it, would have stopped everything. But meanwhile, I'm on day 10, and it doesn't even bother me that I missed one. So even if I miss 2, even if I do 28 of the 30 days, right? Do 30 days and 32 days. It's the keep moving in the inspired direction that's good for me. I'm better doing it imperfectly than not doing it at all.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
And that's where that compassion comes in. That's where my values help me remember why I'm doing it, and how do I want to do this? Because it's about connecting to my body. If I'm give it up, then I'm not going to do that anymore. So it's that compassion. How do I show up to this commitment too? So yeah, I'm still in it. And you can start anew any day. I could start my 30 days today. January 1st. Every day is a new day to say, okay, I'm going to live in alignment with my values today, or one value today. So it's just every day is a new day. Tomorrow and tomorrow. I've restarted my day sometimes at 8:00 at night.
Yeah. That's so good. That's really good. Yeah. I'm thinking about the word grace here, because that is like so much about the compassion allows for that, just grace, just that, just like, okay. Yeah, I'm human.
But
That doesn't mean that I have to stop, or like, it doesn't mean anything except for now I'm aware of something and I can make a different choice in this moment, and that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
Say that again, Sharice. We can't hear you.
It's not the end of the world.
Right.
Yes, exactly. It is totally not the end of the world. It's like, oh, okay.
Right. Yeah. And one of my values, remind me, it's gratitude and grace. The gratitude is the action that I get on my mat. The gratitude is the doing that action for me. I'm grateful. She always says the hardest thing is getting on the mat, showing up on the mat and getting, actually doing it. And then the grace comes in with the, like you just said, the compassion, the gentleness, the how I want to get on my mat to do it, even when I don't want to. To be honest, there was 2 days ago, it was all heart opening exercises. And it was like the hardest 16 minutes It wasn't that I went through. And I'm like, heart, of course, I love heart opening exercises. And my body was just not, maybe I was feeling tired. Who knows why? I still did it and I felt better after, but it was curious to me. I was like, why is this so hard? It just was. It just was. And I didn't have to overthink it because I just showed up for it, but it was amusing to me. It was called Corazon. So, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm excited about this one. And then I was like, really?
Oh my gosh. It's all data, right? It is all
It's
information.
all data.
It's all
Yeah.
data.
It's little by little. It's honoring ourselves. It's listening. It's tuning in. It's knowing ourselves. And what I love and why I care about these core values and talk about them so much is because they're a quick way, to really, when you take the time to know them or know yourself through them, then they're there right for you in such
Mhm.
an
Mhm.
easy way. I don't need anything to I overthink so much that I don't need any more things. It's a reliable way that I can know myself without having to sort more.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, any
Okay.
final thoughts on values, commitments, living, anything, celebrations? You wanna share? We can go around really quick and say, Terry, do you have anything you want to share?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I want to have this experience this year with this inner compass, and that I think um, I've learned a lot by being in this group, and that I feel like um, it really helps. Just this experience of being on vacation with people I've lived close to for a long number of years, but yet not directly in their home. And I felt like I could be in touch with a way to be of value to them while I was in their home. And, like everybody hates doing dishes. So I did dishes every day at their house. And I felt like I wanted to be of service. I wanted to be of value while I was with them because, you know, they were doing all the things, the events that they had put together. And I was there receiving a lot of gifts just by being there in the midst of their becoming a community. They've only been in Hawaii 2 years and only in this house since October. And um, I had never been to Hawaii. It is one of the most beautiful places to see. Just even landing in an airplane, you just can't believe those islands look like that. It's amazing. So a lot of things on my list, like to be surrounded by beauty, nature, and to want to be in it. That was all true there. So yeah, it's great to have this values work. Thank you.
Hmm. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Terry. It is so amazing when you can connect your experiences to your values. It
Yeah.
heightens the way that validates your participation. It transforms a great vacation into something even deeper for you. It's like it's
Mhm.
transformational in that way. So thank you for sharing that because I heard your values in everything you were saying.
Mm.
And even the organization piece, I know that's order is one of your values too, but just taking care of the dishes is
Yeah.
order in the home. You brought yourself and your values and it informed your experience in a way that is transcendent. And it makes it that much more like vibrant. Our lives become that much more vibrant.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That was really powerful.
Hmm. Right.
Charisse, do you have any final thoughts before birthday girl, woman?
No, I'm glad I was able to make it today. I'm always lucky when I'm off on the 11th of the month. So it helped the session to help me to refocus and bring and remember, as Sheila said, just kind of put me back in alignment. And I think that we always need that. We always need to be reminded, Amy, as you said, because you can be all over the place, but if you just kind of maybe, you know, as I had it on a one paper, but maybe I should put post-its as far as like all over to separate the values
Right.
as a helpful reminder. That probably might be better for me, because you need to be able to see it. It's like write it. It says it in the Bible. You write it and make it plain. And that's what I think I need help with, little subtle reminders.
Right. Yeah. The visual reminders are very powerful. I find I've needed to put them on post-its on a wall and just look at them. And that's how I get used to leaning into them, right? The integration piece. Once you have a set that you feel good about, and they can still be adjusted, but for the most part that you can rely on, then it's about owning them in the moment, and the visual, representation is powerful in that regard. So thank you for that. And I love when you can be here too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sheila, any final?
I was trying to remember what was this little thing that I wanted to say. For me, I'm focusing a little bit more on this. There's a piece around curiosity, wonder, and joy that I want to focus on this year. And I've been working a lot, and I haven't had an opportunity to go to the beach as much as I'd like, not much at all in the last couple of months. And I was really lamenting that, like missing it and saying, oh my God, my walks on the beach, I really need that. And then suddenly one day it just dawned on me, you know what? You don't have to walk on the beach. You could just go to the beach and like just sit and still get the same benefits that you would by walking. I'm so used to taking long walks on the beach that my association with the beach is like, that's my place to go for these long walks. And so if I can't go for a long walk, I don't go to the beach. And it's like, that's very limiting. It's like, you know what? But just the awareness, it's like the ways in which I may get into like a box or think that have limited thinking, and kind of expanding that out and realizing that these are the wonderful things, wonderful moments that I'm missing out on because I'm thinking I'm having to associate this with that or combine two things. Just separate them out, still have the experience. And so that's what I'm just recognizing, the ways that I keep myself from having all of what I need. And it's just right there for me. And then again, it's around having that openness and suddenly realizations. And it's like, oh, I can shift this whole thing. And it's like, I can have exactly what I want, even with the restrictions of not being able to walk.
Yeah.
But that's I'm taking that into the year.
That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And it's so astounding to myself what happens, right? Which is why I like the 10 minutes thing, just to bring it back to that. Sometimes
I love that.
I've set my phone to walk for 5 minutes away from where I need to be, and then 5 minutes back. If that's what I have time to do, or go sit for 10 minutes, right? I can, it does enough, or sketch, like 10 minutes, actually, yes. I move the needle forward.
Right. I love that. And yeah, just more and more and more of that. It's like, how else can what other areas of my life can I just take that little shift and then have in this moment what I yearn for in the future?
Because a lot of times, right, I'll have that idea that I don't have an hour to do it, so I'm not going to do it at all. Okay, do I have 10 minutes? Okay, yeah, I have 10 minutes. And I've done that with cleaning the house, something I don't want to do either. Like, okay, I'm going to focus only on the kitchen for 10 minutes. boy, do I get
Amazing.
a lot accomplished in 10 minutes.
Yes, amazing.
But when I say like, I have to be specific though with it, because if I say I'm going to clean the house for 10 minutes, it's different. I have to say I'm going to do the laundry for 10 minutes. I'm going to clean the kitchen for 10 minutes. I'm going to do it has to be very specific. And then I'm like, wow, yeah, you know,
I love it. I
not
love
need
it.
an 8-hour workday.
I love it. I love it.
Centered.
I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. I'm gonna do more of that. Yes.
So anyway, on that note, we are
Uh-huh.
January 2023, 11/11. Oh my God. Wow.
Yes. Another one in the books.
Another one.
2023.
Woohoo. Wow. That is remarkable.
Yeah, that is remarkable. I remember in my classroom while I was teaching, in the very first like 5 years, every once in a while, I would put on the board 1989, and the class would look at me and they would go, "Teacher, where are you at?" 2023.
We're at 2023.
My God.
And I'm wishing all of you a beautiful day in a
You too.
a centered and focused day.
Thank you so much. It's great to see all of you.
Likewise.
And I hope to see you again soon.
Yes, we'll be here next month.
Yes.
All
we'll be
right.
next month. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.